It's Acoustic Alternatives live from Grove Studios. We're in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
We're starting in the rant. Sorry.
Yes, we're starting in the rant. My guest today is...
It's like a Greek mythology epic. We're in the middle of the story, even though it's at the beginning, y'all. Sorry. I haven't stopped talking since I walked in the studio. Here we are.
It's good to see Mike Vial here at Grove Studios. We have not seen each other in years, I feel like, other than when I greeted you at the door.
That don't count.
That's like a half an hour ago.
I mean, I see you on Facebook every morning, and I'm like, John, yay.
Yay, John's still alive.
Vial.
Vial, what you doing there, buddy?
What you doing? You hanging out? I'll hang out.
Yeah. Well, I saw that you have this big show coming up to celebrate 20 years of making music.
I know. Well, probably you were there the very first time I was at the Ark, because you might have been the one introducing Ari Hest. And it's like, this is serendipity. I'm going to play a show with my favorite songwriter of my generation. And I saw Ari Hest play at the Ark the first time I ever went to the Ark 20 years ago after my first year teaching. Isn't that incredible?
I was probably there.
You were there. I'm sure you were.
I probably brought him on stage.
Ryan, our friend Ryan, journalist, he was there too. We've kind of connected our dots before we became friends, that we were at a lot of the same shows. So that's why this is happening, because when we went to see Ari was like, Brian was like, oh, you got to hear Mike play. And we were just at the merch table trying to buy shirts and hats and whatnot. Ari said, yeah, I would love to do that show with you. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is too good to be true. And now it's led to this wonderful moment where you and I get to hang out too and talk about it. I mean, that's what life's all about.
Congratulations on scoring a pretty darn good gig.
Yeah, and 20 years of teaching, so that's kind of like the story. I think gigs are like lessons in a way, or lessons are more like gigs for me. I treat them the same, and I like to make memorable moments, as many times as I can. So for me, this is definitely one of them, to play at the Ark in May.
Well, the day is, I have it on my sheet here somewhere. You know what, May 6th? Is that right?
I think it's May 23rd, a Thursday.
I can't see. I have new glasses on. I can't see out of them.
I only know it because we have our big community high field trip day, so I don't have to teach the next day on that Friday. I know for a fact it's going to be. Very good. Yeah, I'll be doing tug of war with the students and cheering them on as we get demolished by the Langdrum Forum is going to beat the Vial Forum in tug of war, but don't tell my students that. They already know. It will be in the notes of the podcast. Well, they will win the euchre tournament, but we are not winning tug of war this year. But I might win at the stage of the Ark. Well, I don't know. Shameless plug. We shall. All right, so we didn't discuss this before I hit record. 3 or 4 songs throughout our discussion today. What would you like to do? Oh, I don't know. You know I'll say probably 4, and then we'll only do 3 because I'm not going to stop talking. Okay, well let's start with a song. Are you going to play some of these new songs that are coming out soon? Yeah, I'm going to do one called "Free to Dream" right now, and it's a song that is new for my, I guess we'll say my audience. But I wrote it after my first year teaching, and some songs just like kind of live for a long time before you feel ready to bring them out into the world. And then what's weird about that experience as a writer is like I'm a completely different person now than who wrote that song. So I'm also experiencing the song now in a new way as the audience is hearing it for the first time. So I don't even really know what the song's about. I don't know who the speaker is and who they're talking to. And I love that because I have ideas of who it could be from my own personal life. I don't like to sometimes share the story of every song. I like to leave it more like a Pearl Jam experience where they can not have a music video in their mind. They can decide for themselves. But, there's a speaker and they're speaking to someone. Is it a love song? Maybe. Is it a goodbye song? Definitely. This is called Free to Dream. When you feel like you're failing, takes over your mind. When a cloud dissipates into nothing like a dream that has died. Life used to be simple. It's complicated in time. And when moments were sacred, know what we'd find. And you are free so you can walk away, entangled in all of those veins that were tugging you to stay. Life used to be simple, it's complicated in time. You should always be honest, even when you lie. We lie in this life, in this life, in this life. And you are free, free to dream, dream without me. You are free, free to dream, dream without me. You are free, free to dream, dream without me. You are free, free to dream, dream without me. A song that's 20 years old. Maybe it's not weird.
Nice. Mike Vial on Acoustic Alternatives here from Grove Studios. As we need to dig into your life. You're wearing the hat today of many that you wear. Community high school. You're a teacher, a musician, a husband, a dad,
Not
a friend.
all who wander are lost, Tolkien said, but I have been wandering a bit and found my way to be teaching in Ann Arbor. And I took a few interviews. My kids go to Ann Arbor schools, so there's always a blessing to be on the same schedule as my children. But I, as a musician, when I left teaching at Howey High School, which was an incredible experience in my 20s, but also one that I hadn't fully gotten in touch with, like, how do you manage the workload? How do you not bring your job home with you? How do you live in a small town when you want to do music as well? So I left teaching for a while to play music full time, but then I still found myself teaching, and I was teaching guitar. I was teaching at a little, I guess we'll call it a little music academy. That's what its name was, but it felt just kind of like I'm teaching kids how to play music and get dialed into it and go out and play 120, 200 gigs a year, some being like the Arc, most of them being in the corner trying to pay off my student loan, 100, 200, 300 bucks at a time. And now I'm in year 20 of teaching, and I guess in a way it's year 20 of releasing music. And it's a really cool thing to have these like memories tied up with musical artifacts. And to be able to now do that in Ann Arbor and really kind of like, I don't just live in Ann Arbor, I'm kind of in the community in multiple ways and trying to give back more than I take is a really special experience. Yeah, it's my third year at Community High, and that's definitely I hope to say I'm a good fit for the alternative high school. It's just, there's a great history of Community High. We're open campus. We work more like a community college for high school. Kids can choose what classes they want to take, if I can simplify the ethos of the building. We're not an arts school, but if you came in, you would assume so because of the murals on the wall, from the Beatles to the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas book cover that's across the hall from me, drawn by a student in 1988. Wow. Yeah, it's a really special place. Not to brag, we have the highest SAT scores of the district. That's not my work. That's just the students, the families, and honestly, the teachers before. We're a community together, but we do get the benefit of that because I think the kids that decide to come to community, in the same way that I decided to go there and leave one job to find my way, they made that choice to leave maybe friends who go to Huron, Pioneer, Skyline, and then go into the smaller school. I think that's a milestone that really matters in your young adulthood. In Boy Scouting, there would be like two things that would prevent a scout from getting to Eagle. It was gasoline or perfume. We're going to expand that now because I don't think scouting needs to be one type of thing for boys anymore. But that was definitely going to be true for me. It's a big milestone to get your license. It's a big milestone to have those first breakups. It's a big milestone to make big decisions. It's a blessing for me as a teacher to get to work with students who have come in and already made one of those big decisions and where they go to school. So I teach English there, and I teach a lot of different classes. There's a lot of electives. That's kind of another perk of community high. They get to choose whatever class they want after the first semester. And I have many opportunities to teach them.
One of the things that was my first impression, not ever living there, but only working in the Ann Arbor community, was working a food drive, Rockin' for the Hungry, and having huge donations come from that school. And I saw that you yourself raised money in the school or outside of the school playing. So
yeah, I mean, we got to give just a nod to, that was student-led before I ever been hired, and then led by Manisha and Tracy, two amazing teachers in the district who have turned that connection to community, which is our ethos, right? We want to not take from our community, but give back. We want to have learning happen not just in the building, but that we get out into the community, hence why it's called community. So what happened is many years ago, before I was probably a full-time musician during that year, just on his own came up with that fundraiser and, raised money. And then he got his forum class. Forum is a special class at Community High. It's kind of like a homeroom, but it's a class. You're there to basically learn how to be a group together and then take that leadership out into your community is my way of saying it. But it's like a homeroom experience. And so what has become is all the forums compete who can raise the most money, little challenge. And then we celebrate how much we've made. And we always have a big goal. And then there's a family donation that doubles the amount if we make the goal. So that's what you're talking about. And my forum, we had an open mic in the hallway. I set up the lights and the microphones, and then kids who played guitar would sing a song, and I'd go out and sing a song, and they would just give donations. But it was really also some online donations were happening through my internet world to make it kind of connect to our Ann Arbor community. And then there were other things that were happening to raise money for food gatherers. And it was forum-led, student-led. We didn't come in last place this year.
Great. Congrats.
And when you come in last place, it means you still raise like $1,000. But like one forum, I think, raised like $7,000 this year.
Wow.
Right. The kids were out. They were knocking on doors. They're not just collecting cans. They're posting to their TikToks and Instagrams and getting people to donate in their circles. And Food Gatherers is, it used to be, for every $1 you would raise, that'd be 3 meals. Now it's only 2, right?
Oops, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the work that they do is feeling the same impact that we're all feeling. So it felt really special to be a part of that even more in my 3rd year teaching a community.
Speaking of school, at one point you were a school person yourself. Where did you grow up? Where's your life start?
My life begins in Dearborn Heights. I'm a Wayne County brat. I'm a product of being from a almost 100% Polish family. There's some Irish roots in there too, but my dad both went to Catholic school, and I followed in their footsteps. I went to Divine Child in Dearborn. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the reasons I became a teacher, I know why I became a musician. I mean, but why did I become a teacher? I have no idea. In logic, I was shy. I didn't do very well in school at the beginning. I found my way in high school, but it felt like a bird had pooped on my head at Western Michigan. I didn't get into the music programs. I had tried out in multiple schools in Michigan and knew I wasn't going to get in after 2 years of prepping for that audition. Thought I might audition again. Glad I didn't. The rejection letters were a really good failure that led me to find new things, and my musical growth could be self-driven. or teaming up with mentors, teachers, rather than having to be in a student loan payment. So I think it was the coaches and teachers who influenced me to see a chance to be a part of that in my future. A band director, Coach Carpenter, saw something in me in high school I didn't see in myself for cross country. I find myself being captain of the team after he died suddenly. Though that was a milestone for me in 16 years old, making friends that are friends to this day. And then music connects to that because, I make my first band in Dearborn, and you're learning how to be a person on stage and express yourself through your first songs and connecting to the music you love across all these decades of great music. I'm sure you had the same experience, John. And then it just comes through now in my persona of who I am in the classroom, which sadly is probably more who I am now in real life. It used to be a like acting. I have crossed into like, why so serious? I'm like the Joker now. I've lost who I truly was. But hopefully in a good way. I like to say I'm more Clark Kent and Superman, but I don't take the glasses off anymore.
Okay. Well, when did you pick up the guitar? When did that become the focus?
So, yeah, that's long story short, it's like most people, you find a guitar in your family, you pick it up, you strum that ugly E11, and you're like, oh, I'm done. For my friend Mike Gentry, he heard a Kiss record and he said he was destined for a life of not making much money. I think for me it was Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Once I could do that, and once I could play that in front of people, and they were like looked at me and said, "Wow, we remember you were like a huge dork in 7th grade. Now you can do that." There was no going back. But also, I took guitar lessons from an amazing teacher, Trish Miraz, and she taught me some jazz. And I took piano when I was 8 from a really great piano player, but she was 88 years old. So I didn't practice. I didn't know how to play. And she would be like, "What note is this, Mikey?" And I'd be like, I would whisper, "It's C." And she couldn't hear because she was 88. She'd be like, "You're right, it's D." And I was just showing up for the cookies. But it set like a feeling of like music is important. And I don't know why. I'm 8 till 10 years old taking piano lessons and going home on an out-of-tune piano. It's not fun to play and sound like worse than honky tonk. But when I stopped playing lessons, within 2 or 3 years, I'm playing guitar because I just felt like something was missing in my life as a kid, and I didn't know what. And video games weren't covering it. The minute I got the first electric guitar, there was no going back. I had a direct, it's like a ray gun into what I'm hearing through the speakers of a CD player. Kids, CD players are kind of like, like you're streaming. They're little circles, so they're frisbees that you would use to make music. You don't know what that is, kids. I'm old.
Come on over, I'll show you a few.
Yeah. I'll sell them to you at the merch table.
Wait,
they're basically,
here's one.
They're artifacts that
Here's
we can sign.
Here's another one.
Yeah, you should collect them. They're fun. They're kind of like vinyl records and
they're
Pokemon cards, but they're... yeah, they're going to be valuable in about 100 years. Let me tell you, kids. You need to buy all the CDs from the artists.
Yeah, they'll be back before that. When people realize that paying for vinyl is way too crazy.
Oh, it's so bad for the environment too. But I love them. I don't collect them. That's the one thing I won't let myself do is go near a vinyl record.
But I can't go back.
You can't go back. See, that's why I won't go near them.
Yeah, it'd be too expensive.
How many do you
back.
have?
CDs?
No, vinyl records.
I downgraded all of my vinyl, digitized it, and have everything on CD or digitally.
Oh, that's so smart.
Problem is I have 18,000 CDs.
18,000?
That's not a joke.
I believe you, but that's a lot.
Well, that's 20, 30 some years in the record industry. I started in the record industry in 1985. That's
yeah.
I saw CDs come through the record store I worked at for the first time. I bought my first used CD.
Right. Did you sign up for like Harmony House and Columbia things and like sign up your dog and get like 10 CDs for a cent like we did in our family?
Me. Not the dog.
Oh, we were signing up everybody.
Yeah.
And then they got their money out of us because my dad just was like buying everything he never could afford when he lived in Detroit. And I was getting a musical education from that.
Yeah.
I get Pearl Jam verses. My dad gets Bob Dylan, Freewheelin' and Bob Dylan. And I didn't like Dylan the first time I heard him. Now I can't get over it. I've seen Dylan live. My dad stops at listening to Dylan at Blonde on Blonde. I keep going. There's no stopping me. Like the songwriting's incredible. So like, yeah, I mean, this like, stories of childhood and life, it kind of gets back to what like Anne Lamott says in her book Bird by Bird, is like you have to kind of understand a place of yourself when you're writing. That doesn't mean you have to write what you know, but for I think it's music provides us a way to create a soundtrack of our lives. It's not really about the popularity of it.
Yeah.
But it helps.
It does. Well, we're going to continue delving into your life, but I'd like another track from this. Do we have a title for your forthcoming release?
It's probably going to be Free to Dream, actually. But it's a work in progress, and who knows?
Okay. What would you like to play from that or somewhere in your catalog?
That's weird to say you have a catalog now, isn't it?
Well, you do,
I
actually.
do. It's
I just
weird,
spent
though.
$16 on it.
I appreciate that. So let's do... I'm going to do I Just Want to Be Your Last, guitar-heavy song that I recorded on this guitar many a year ago and was on the World That's Bigger record that Mike Gentry produced for me. If sugar goes well with coffee, like the day mixes with night, I might be a little different than you, but we go together right. You treat me quite better than I've been treated before. I don't want to sound trite, I just know that I know for sure. We all live with regrets, we shouldn't care about the past. I don't need to be a first love, I just want to be your last. I just want to be your last. You said you had to kiss a few frogs before your prince appeared. Well, I've been waiting for you like the sun waits for clouds to clear. It's been raining for what feels like years, and the whole time you were always near to me, but that's how it goes when we all live with regrets. We shouldn't care about the past. I don't need to be a first love, I just want to be your last. Your last. 'Cause when I finally found you, finally forgot my past, which was the preface before you. So when I met you, I'd say at last, at last. I used to think that love at first sight was for fools. I hope that it's okay that I broke a few of your rules. We have all been hiding scars under our hearts. I've been told the healing is after true love finally starts. When I first saw you, I first thought at last. I first saw you. We all live with regrets, we shouldn't care about the past. I don't need to be a first love, I just wanna be your last. Your last, your last. Ooh. I just wanna be your last. This sounds so good at the microphone.
It does sound good. You'll
here.
find that track 2 of A World That's Bigger, the EP, regular full-length album released. Gosh, where's the year on this thing? I've forgotten how long
Which
ago
one?
this
That
was.
one? It's blending in now. 2015, 16,
It's not
17.
on the disc.
No, it should be on the disc at the bottom, but it's 15 or 16. 16.
I have new glasses,
Yeah,
like I said, I can't see.
In great literature, just a little lesson for y'all. A food is always symbolic, or it provides an opportunity for characters to come together in communion. Now, this is taught by Dr. Foster Dr. Thomas Foster of, U of M Flint. And he wrote it in his great book, How to Read Like an English Teacher. So I'm going to eat a cinnamon roll, and you probably will too later.
While you're chewing, I'm going to thank Grove Studios while you're chewing. Well, you continue chewing, because Grove Studios is really the reason I can continue doing this podcast, because they were the ones who initiated the idea back in 2020. They're the ones who keep providing me with a home to do it in. And I gave Mike a little tour around the building so that he said, hey, if I ever have a band, maybe this is the place that I can bring my band.
I do have a band. It's just about whether the Great Lake Effect want to not be in a garage without heat for practice. I don't know if they're ready for the gorgeousness of a real place yet. Have they earned it?
The motto here actually is get out of the garage, get into the studio.
I love that. See, I blow the fuse in my house when I try to run the heaters and the mixing board and PA at the same time in my practice garage. So, I don't know what the symbolism of me eating this is going to be. I don't know if I'm great literature yet.
I don't know, but you saw the different rooms. There are different sizes, rooms, half size, full size, a place for DJs, a place to master your record.
Can anybody practice on the roof?
Unless your name is David, no. Get it? David
I got it. I was leading into that joke. You took it out of my mouth. So that's good.
Sorry about that.
I mean, it's like the Beatles. We're going to practice on the roof and record it.
There's a courtyard.
How much is it to play on the roof?
I don't have the figures in front of me.
I really feel like you need to know that.
Yeah.
I'm reading the house rules, and it says that the roof is a little more expensive.
The roof is on fire. We don't need.
Oh, I was just parallel thought. This is what I do. This is how I teach. I got 100 minutes to fill. They gave me block scheduling, so now I got to fill. I just rant. I'm a riff monster here.
Well, let's talk about you again. Let's focus on you.
Let's talk about you. You know exactly what I'm thinking. You're pulling it out. You're stealing my jokes. I'm setting you up like a baseball player.
I feel like a baseball player at work. I'm the utility player.
I don't know sports, so I don't know if the analogy or metaphor is going to work. But I'm setting you up in the third period for the baseball game, and you're going to get the home the field goal.
No, you got that wrong, but that's okay.
But you are going to get the points. You're going to win.
Thank you.
Thank you
for that.
How many musicians have eaten food on your podcast?
0.
Now you can say 1.
1.
What other things have not happened that I can probably do? How many have talked about Pokemon? Are they ready?
0.
Okay. What about? Don't mention Paw Patrol. I'm not ready to go down that evil. What do you want to know?
Well,
sorry.
Let's continue your life. You went to Western Michigan and Kalamazoo, correct?
I did. Formative years, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And 2007 is when the first record, 3 Men Make a Tiger, comes out. Where does that fall into your life? Are you still in college?
Oh, no. I started teaching in 2003.
Okay.
And I walked in to get my classroom keys. I was the youngest on staff for all 8 years, okay, because I was like 21 when they hired me and 22, and I got the keys. And they're like, are you here for your diploma? I don't recognize you. That is a way to scare a first-year teacher, okay? I had to lie and say I was older when I was student teaching. It was wild, okay? Like literally a tornado hit the school when I was student teaching.
Wow.
It was I wasn't even a student teacher. There was like a teacher who like didn't want to teach anymore, and she would just get as many interns or pre-interns and just like throw us in the classroom. We're supposed to be observing, okay? Thank you, Western, for throwing me into the gauntlet. And then like you're asking about something else. Here I am telling you about the time I was like literally going full-time school. I'm trying to play a little music. I'm barely making any money. I'm living on student loans. And then I'm finding I'm like a half-time teacher at 19 years old. And I tell everybody I'm 23 in the classroom. And the lady just leaves me with the class.
Wow.
And then a tornado hit the school and I cried because I could finally sleep that year. That was the first time I got sleep. A lot of the songs on 3 Men Make a Tiger probably got written after that experience. There's like an energy that I no longer know how to connect to from that record. So to answer your question and come back to it is, like the first EP, a completely different music experience for you and I in the industry. I'm coming into it fresh. I'm recording in the studio. I'm recording this on my own paychecks as a teacher, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to listen to my own voice. Do we use a click track? I'm refusing to let auto-tune be on it, but like, is that the right decision? Like, these are things we don't even wonder about anymore. We just do what's right. And so there was a little bit more controversy about how much digital manipulation you could use. Now it's just artful. But so I recorded that first EP in Marshall Block Studio in south of Flint and Fenton, and would go teach, go back record. It should have been done in like 2 weeks. Instead, it took me a year. But it started the beginning. You know, I would be like MC Hammer selling CDs out of the back of my trunk after playing at a coffee house. The irony is I probably made the most money of my career from CDs, that is, from that record.
Really?
Yeah, because...
And it's out of print, too.
Right, but here's the irony is, like, people back then, one, bought CDs, but secondly, like, I recorded it, like Marshall just guided me through it. I recorded it so affordably. So like I could sell it at like $5, I'm making a profit, $10, making a profit. People would give me a tip. I would play in a coffee house south of Flint and I'd walk away with like 20, 30 CD sales. Parents would like literally be like, oh, I heard you're a musician. I bought your music on Bandcamp at parent-teacher conferences. So there's like, I had this false understanding of like how this is going to work. So when I released the next one, you know, amazing experience. But Dan Aiken, who had done City and Color, his niece Feist, I'm driving to Canada after school on a Friday, going to record. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be a full-time musician. I'm going to live as cheaply as possible. I'm very excited to do this, but I spent like $8 to $10 grand on that record. Now, $8 to $10 grand isn't a lot on spending for a record, but like immediately I'm already at a higher way I need to make it. I don't have a label doing this. I am my own label. So like it's interesting to look at, like you kind of like level up and you have to invest in the experience sometimes, not. But then so a lot of musicians are making it on the road now. You know, the road has kind of compensated for what our records used to do. And even for an indie artist like me, and I'm like directly indie. I'm not indie of a label who's really with a major label conglomerate. I'm straight up indie. The name is my thing I created. I've done all the paperwork.
I booked the gigs.
I booked the gigs. I've had an agent before. I've turned down a small label before. I'm glad I did, but really good people. It just wasn't going to be good for them or me. And because I'm so DIY, I'm always going to live in having to, you know, make sure the numbers work out so I'm not taking from my family. And I can figure out how to do that because it's possible now, like Grove Studios, right? Yeah. I joke that eBay is my record label, and it's 100% true because I just, you know, it started with reselling old toys that my parents had kept in my life. And then now I'm like, you know, finding some things occasionally at the thrift stores and using that money to, unfortunately, maybe buy another guitar. Don't tell my wife. Or, you know, and funding the sessions because I can't do the recording myself. I just don't have the focus or interest to be behind the computer anymore. So, yeah, like I've released, I mean, it's been 4 records, or if we count the EPs of CDs, but there's been a lot of singles. I've written 100 songs or more. And I'm kind of in this time of my life where I just need to like put the music out and stop waiting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You should. We're going to take a brief pause. I'm going to see if I can get rid of the buzz real quick because it went away. It went away and then it came back. I think it's a bad chord, but I can't fix that in the middle of the session. So we're just going to keep rolling with it.
It's just going to keep rolling with the buzz because I thought it was my tendinitis.
No, it's this microphone. Oh, okay. So you're gone. Now you're back and the buzz is back.
It's all right. I like the buzz.
Anyway.
It's like, it's making me feel like I'm in
an amp.
Chicka Chicka 1 2 3. Will there be a place for me? Yeah, you parents, you know it. You know that Bill Martin book, the buzzes of the bees and the trees. It's all good. I don't care.
Got me on that one.
Yeah, well, you know, that's modern parenting.
So those first album songs, how do you feel about them now? We're talking almost, not quite 20 years later since those are released, but pretty close. 17 years later. Are you proud of those songs? Do you play those songs?
Well, I'm proud of everything because I feel like music is a snapshot of our lives, and we shouldn't look back at our Polaroid pictures and judge that person in the past. But okay. I'm a person who's always looking forward rather than back. Mm-hmm. So at the last time I played the Ark with Mike Gentry, I don't remember if that was last year or the year before. It's kind of a blur, but I decided systematically that I would go into every catalog. And I did a session of songs that were all about Kalamazoo, and they were pulling from each record because there's always a theme of Kalamazoo hiding for some reason in my records, probably unintentionally. But there's such a milestone of who I am when I grew up for those 4 years in college. I find one of those learning experiences and it influences something, or you write about a person you knew, or you write about the Brick Street, or, you know, playing at the Club Soda and change the names. So like I did a session of songs and I played all 3, and like so many people came up to me after and were like, oh, that was my favorite part of the show, which made me want to go back and just listen to who was Mike. And I've been doing that, not religiously. I don't really like listening back to my playing, but I'm more it doesn't sound as, for lack of a better word, as bad as I thought it did, because I was very much learning in real time how to sing, how to record. Mm-hmm. I think the guitar playing was getting there, but like John Mayer says, he was playing too aggressively on those first, probably 1999 to 2001. You can hear the energy of trying. I can hear that in my work. Mm-hmm. I back off now better. I have a more confident strumming hand that doesn't need to always be showing off. And I'm not a virtuoso, but there's a piece of me that's like, hey, I'm right here. Can you see it? And that person is no longer me. I've learned how to finger pick now. There's all these different tools in the toolbox. So I really like listening back. There's a song on Burning the Boats. I can't play it today, but Change Your Tune. I'm deciding if I'm going to do it or not. And I haven't played it in 10 years. And I'm like, wow, Mike Chambers really hit that one well. He also played the piano on that song. And that one is like one I was like, oh yeah, I was getting somewhere on that one. Kalamazoo on that record, I'm not proud of the way that we did it. My singing wasn't there. I can do it better now. I probably won't re-record it, but I'm proud of the song. And you can tell I love chords. Mm-hmm. They take me somewhere. So yeah, thanks for asking about that, because we do leave a catalog of work.
Yeah.
You've got almost 100 podcasts now. You've got a career, but it's also an art of what we're doing together. It's a social experience. I don't know. Like, how does it feel to listen back to like your first couple podcasts?
I can go farther back. When I started doing radio at WHFR in Dearborn, I have recorded those.
Do you have those recorded too?
I do.
That's wild.
And I can hear the improvements. I don't listen to them often, but I listen to them then to try to learn how to improve from myself.
Yeah.
Just listen back to what did you just do?
Right.
What could you have done better?
Yeah.
And so I did that.
I almost went to Henry Ford. They had a great music program in the 90s at Edge, and they still do. Mm-hmm. The first time I ever called into a radio station is WHFR. I heard Bush's 16 Stone for the first time on WHFR. I mean, these are like, I'm just a kid in freshman year of high school being annoying on a Friday night calling in the DJs. Hopefully not you.
No. I was doing, actually the show was called Acoustic Alternatives before nice. I turned it into something else at another radio station. But then I took the name back when I started back on my own. So.
Yeah.
Would you remember that several years after that first EP that you played at some NPR thing? And do you know that The World That's Bigger from that NPR session is actually online? There's a video of that. I stumbled into that. I was unaware. First of all, there was a page. I think it's an NPR station that you did it for. Might have been Folk Alliance.
Oh, I'm aware of that. Wow. Yeah, that always feels like a year ago. There are some moments in my life, and it's probably because I'm a teacher. And I think for all you teachers out there, if you haven't considered that, like we never left the experience of living by a bell. And I don't think that is really like studied enough. I'm not sure if it's healthy or unhealthy. It may be neither, but like we don't know how to use the bathroom when we're in the middle of our job, where like you can do that at most jobs.
Yeah.
We don't
come back.
Community doesn't have bells, so this doesn't really apply to me anymore. And we're an open campus. I have kind of a blessing with that, and my kids are really well behaved. But I think there's something to like, I think in sections of my life, in like semesters and school years, and then other parts of my life sort of attached to those school years, or they don't, and then they just live and they always feel like a year ago. So like going to Folk Alliance and doing those things feels always like a year and a half ago to me. It never feels like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's really weird. The pandemic probably messed that up for me too.
Oh, it messed all of us.
Obviously, but I'm like one of those examples of new parent. My kids are online in kindergarten. You're going to learn how to read through kindergarten on a laptop. What? Right? And I'm going to teach as well. My wife's going to have to do her work next to the daughter. Like I have no memory of the first summer. It's completely gone from my memory. So there's like also that has shrunk down how long ago the Folk Alliance's experience is, and touring and hitting a deer in Columbus on the way home after playing with the band that plays on Mountain Stage. I didn't get to do Mountain Stage, but I got to play with the band at like a cool gig after, and like all these things just feel like last year. So yeah, your question was, do I remember it? Of course. The second question is like, was I still like in one piece? Because I got hit by a car during that time. I don't know what they looked like. It's been a while. Am I on crutches? Is what I'm asking. Do you remember?
The video is you playing guitar and performing.
If I'm standing, I must not have been hit by the car yet.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. But
yeah, so I'm going to get hit by a car pretty soon after that.
We'll get to that. You're ahead of me.
We'll get to that.
Your wife comes along sometimes, and sometime along in this period, and I imagine is your biggest fan.
Well,
maybe not.
My wife is. I'm my wife's biggest fan, and my wife is. I've stepped into this in a poorly way, and I should have just said, of course. But the honest truth is, when my wife and I both quit our jobs, my wife is a rock star. Like I don't know how I have married somebody so incredibly inspiring. I'm not even going to get into the beauty and the intelligence but just the creative talent that my wife has. So and what we also share is we're in completely different fields. I don't know how musicians can marry other musicians. I don't think it's just I just think it's just too much music in the house. So I don't need my wife. My wife and I both share a favorite songwriter. It's I don't want to listen to me. I want to listen to Ron Sexsmith. I don't want to go see my concert. I want to go see Ron. So it's okay if my wife's not knows every song about me. I know she does. I mean, she was I sang to her at our wedding, and she would probably say that's her favorite song because it's written about her.
She met you at one of your gigs, though.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm her favorite musician. I am. Yeah, listen, I knew she liked me when she came to the Crowfoot Ballroom, and I'm opening it up for Diana Birch, and I'm just oh yeah. But the first way I met her wasn't the cool gig. I literally went to go play Owasso's Train Festival and almost canceled because I was going to play at Memphis Smoke, which is no longer there in Royal Oak, but it was cool, totally cool. I was playing with really cool musicians from the local area. Sure. It was a big deal for me. It was my birthday. I'm in my 20s. I'm I'm going to do a cool gig tonight. Why am I going to the Owasso Train Festival for $100? And my wife's asking, why am I having to book musicians for this thing? And she was a DDA director, but she had to. The board wanted her to. And then I show up. And I played to one person who's sitting at the picnic table. I mean, the festival's all on the other side of the town at 10 a.m. And I'm playing. She's like, oh, crap. And this is her words, not mine. Oh, crap, I booked somebody who's talented. And I'm playing. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm playing to somebody who's beautiful. And it's been the most important gig of my life where I played to one person. And then we walked around and then, oh, you have a writer's club? Oh, I write. I said, I write short stories. I'd love to be part of your writer's club. I don't write short stories. I'm an English teacher. I read short stories.
Your songs are short stories.
Yeah, I guess I had two short stories that are terrible. One's about a dentist, and the other's about a dad who, his son finds his guitar in the basement. Yeah, I think I brought those short stories over, and they're just, terrible. But she had her two dogs, and we sat in the room with her friends. And then I was like, how do I ask her out? Now, she says I waited 6 weeks. I only think it was 4. But she did come to the next gig with her friends, and that was cool.
It's a good story. I like it.
Yeah. And then we actually got to get married in Pontiac, and then we rented out the Crowfoot Ballroom with a lot of help from our family to afford it. And we had a live band, and I came out, surprised everybody, and sang a song to my wife. And,
cool.
That's the best gig.
That's pretty cool. Well, over the course of your career, I know that you did full-time musician for a while before you went back to teaching.
Right.
In the last 5 years, have you done much playing outside of the mitten at all? Have you done much?
This is going to be probably the first time again in a while. I'm going to go play Wild Rose Moon in April. I'll do the Arc. I'm waiting to see.
That's it. It's Michigan.
Yeah, but it's going to be the thing that allows other people to realize, oh, he's back doing it. The Arc is really helping me out because we know the Arc. We're lucky to have it in Ann Arbor. It's nationally recognized. I get to play with my favorite songwriter of my generation.
This guy, Ari Hest.
Yeah, Ari Hest. I mean, geez.
May 23rd. I found it on my notes here.
Yeah. So that is going to allow me to now, hopefully in the fall and December, play a little bit again out of the town if it makes sense for my family. I mean, I'm dad first, and my kids need me at home, and my wife needs me to be there. Yeah. And it is, it's a compromise. I'm not going to compromise that. I don't also know what to do online. I just don't feel the connection online, but I probably need to embrace it more now.
It's your marketing plan. That's what online is.
Yeah, but I already live in the classroom, and I live, I love posting videos, and I love doing it, and I love doing this, but I live to be around people and that real energy. So I'm figuring that out too, even though I'm part of the generation that, immediately started putting music up for free. Immediately was fine with streaming and could see the writing on the wall that live will be the way to make it, or teaching and stuff. So I'm happy, but I'd like to play 30, 40, 50 gigs a year again. I just don't know how to do that as a dad.
It gets tougher. The new album is due out anytime?
It's going to happen in May.
May, okay. So.
It's going to trickle out, and then it's going to be a full release. Okay. I'm going to test the waters with no rules. And I've recorded with David Roof, so songs are waiting to be posted. And they are going to happen.
Can I hear one?
Well, Free to Dream will be the next one that comes out. A lot of it, the people are going to think there's going to be guitar, and then they're going to get a song where like Vial's playing piano again. Like, what's that about? So that's exciting. And then I'm going to have full band performances also. That I'm kind of getting people used to that. I started being on electric guitar, and then I came to acoustic guitar by default, because when you can't really like rock out in your couch dorm room. And then I also fell in love with the James Taylor era of music and Joni Mitchell. And then we had John Mayer, Matt Nathanson, Ari Hest, all these great songwriters, Jesse Balin, who else is coming out? And then locally, Jill Jack. I played with Seth Bernard at a festival. All these influences on the acoustic guitar, but it really just was by need to play acoustic guitar and not be too loud. In 2099. So now that I'm getting back into playing electric guitar and playing with a band, I'm hoping that doesn't feel too much of like a change up for people who are my fans and my family and friends. Mm-hmm. It's just the same Mike Vial performances, but it's different when you're giving up some of the sound of the drums. And I like it. I like being able to do that. I can play a new song from the record.
Please.
I got to retune the guitar because I brought one.
It's allowed.
Is it?
Yes.
The tuning song should not be allowed.
The tuning song is part of life.
When Ani DeFranco was starting out, I love this story. I tell it to my wife all the time because it tells her that I'm going to buy another guitar on the eBay money. Oh no, we need it in B for open G. When Ani DeFranco was starting out, she uses all these open tunings and she'd just bust strings and stuff. And it's so frustrating. But then when you get like 4 acoustic guitars, you always get the same question at every gig. Oh, you can't play all of them at the same time. And it's like, do you want me to tune in front of you for 13 minutes? Because I'm going to have to. Of course, there's a reason why I have 7 Taylors. It's not insanity. Okay, it's kind of insanity.
Because they all have different tones.
They're all different tunings. I don't care about tone. I mean, I should, but I don't for acoustic, like electric. I probably have an obsession with certain things, like why do I buy Black Sparrow Press? Well, Matt Jones gave me his collection for free, and then I was like, these are cool. They're all independently made. Oh, they're beautiful letterpress. Now I'm buying 100 of them like an idiot. Why do I play Taylors? Well, they're my favorite, but I think it's also like once I had one, I had to have 7. What's wrong with me? Anyways, yeah, so like, and I play the Arc, I'll probably have like 7 guitars up there. That's not common for me, but I have a rule that if a guitar doesn't leave the house for a gig or recording session, it can't stay in the house.
Makes sense.
It's got to leave every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Tell me about the song you're about to play.
So, June 22nd, 1996, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, there was a KKK rally. I didn't know this. I'm in high school. You might know this story of Ann Arbor. This song is called 2 Angels, but it's part of a record I'm currently still like in the process of trying to find song ideas for. I'm half done with it, called Profiles to Courage. And there's songs about individual moments of heroism, sometimes historically, like a Rosa Parks experience, sometimes just one person. So at this KKK rally in Ann Arbor, why did they choose Ann Arbor? So they can get the press. So it's freedom of speech to be, downtown and doing this horribly vitriolic, is that a word?
Yes.
Promotion of ideas. So there's a counter protest, and the counter is a hot day. They got really mad at, and they were chasing a person down the road who had a biker jacket on. He really wasn't. He said the claim is he wasn't really about the protest. He was just there, curious. But he did have a Confederate flag on his vest, and the people got mad. And he fell on the ground, and they were going to beat him. And a lady Keisha Thomas throws herself upon him and says, "This is not what we're about." She saves his life. She's 17. She just graduated from high school. Now, if we think back to the hurricane going through Texas and Houston X amount of years ago, my former student is a journalist out there, Will. He is tweeting about what's happening during the hurricane. So somebody is driving a semi-truck, saving people's lives. Their name is Keisha Thomas with the truck driver. Now, I know this name because I've just written this song about her on the anniversary of this event. You know, the Ann Arbor M Live. Ryan, our friend, is re-interviewing her before that. And here she is now in Houston as an adult, still doing amazing work. And I'm just like, that's incredible. And my student, they won a Pulitzer Prize for the Houston Chronicle for that work. I don't know. I know my student was a part of that, and the fact that wow, I've got this direct connection to this moment, and I've just written this song about her. And it's going to be on the next record. I think what's going to end up happening is the songs will trickle out, and then there'll be a new version of them as a collection, and with new ones no one's heard. But it's hard to find the right stories. This was the first one, and then I was like, I just need to keep finding them. I found 4 right away, and then it became hard. I don't know. I have a high tolerance. I have a high expectation to make a good song out of something, and it's hard when you get the best one right away. This is called June 22nd, 1996, Ann Arbor. But no one will remember that, so we'll call it Two Angels. Feet. Anger is an action that only kindness can beat. From a common spring to a river slow, throw a rock in the water, how far the ripples will go. Throw a rock in the water, how far the ripples will go. Sew it on your clothes, only you command. Did this crowd come to kill you? Tomorrow they'd shake your hand. Won't give you one more mile, won't give you one more street. I'll shield you with my body, save you from the summer heat. I'll shield you with my body, save you from the summer heat. Oh. Angels, lay me down, make me a mountain, make my mama proud. 2 angels, stop this crowd. You might feel alone, but you're not alone. Lay me down, make me a mountain, make my mama proud. 2 angels, stop this crowd. You might feel alone, but you're not alone. Buried in our town is a forgotten song. We don't know when we lost it, but someday it will be found. It's buried in the ground where we all belong. You sing the melody, I will sing in the round. You sing the melody, I will sing in the round. I will sing in the round, no. I will sing in the round. This is when the choir comes in. Can you hear them? will sing in the round. Here's where the youth orchestra comes in. I can hear the strings real high. I see a tear in the audience. I will sing in the round. I see Keisha Thomas in Houston with her nonprofit doing amazing work. The choir is still singing. I will sing in the round. The drums kick in. The bass is playing. I will sing in the round. Oh, we're all back there, 1996. I will sing in the round, but we're singing together this time. I will sing in the round.
Mike, why didn't you lead with that? Wow. 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 That is a wow song. God damn.
I can't, I mean, like you don't get them. You don't write them. They find you. You know, you hear this from songwriters, and it's probably a universal experience in all forms of creative work. It happens for you too, because you'll find that right phrase when you're talking to somebody that just, you can't recreate it. You didn't even write it. It just happens, and you share that right question, and somebody's going to drive home and they're going to think about that, and it made that conversation better. For us as songwriters, John, we don't write that. There's the words and the experiences and the ground and the images we're borrowing them. We're borrowing them. Mm-hmm. Joshua Davis goes on, which famous
The Voice,
and does a Bob Dylan song in open G, and Vial watches that and is rooting for him, and then tunes his guitar in open G, learns that Bob Dylan song, but then gets that song, right? Like we're always living in a stream. Yeah, and you can see why I'm struggling to find songs that are going to live up to that, because when you get one like that you're like, I didn't write that. That's not mine. That's just now all of ours. I've got 4, and 3 of them are like that. They're like that was like, for me, like I can't get better than that, but the other 3 are pretty close. And then like I'm struggling to get other ones, but it's going to happen, you know.
That's a gem.
Thanks. I only have played it in Ann Arbor once, and I'll probably play it at the Arc.
No, don't probably play it at the Arc. Play it at the Arc.
Yeah, it's
Let me give you some advice. Play that at the Arc.
I will, but I don't know if it works as a band yet. You know, the song doesn't know what it wants to be yet, and I like if songs have to be able to be solo for me too.
It moved me as a solo piece. It doesn't have to be a band.
No,
piece.
It doesn't. But I can hear, like when I didn't plan what happened at the end. I'm literally like, the tears are real, because I'm like, I have a version where I hear a choir. I hear a version, and Roof knows what I want to do, because I've got I will sing in the round, and I want to make a round happen, but it can't be from just that one thing. You know, mm-hmm. you want to end it with everybody singing together, but it's not the perfect call and answer moment.
Yeah.
They have to be led as an audience with somebody else behind you, and it's got to make sense. Yeah. But maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But it's cool, because like we're all borrowing from the same chords, you know, colors and palette, and Keisha Thomas is still doing great work.
Well, I see that real life events are inspiring at least that kind of a song. What other things are inspiring music and lyrics for you?
Music always comes first for me. You know, some people, and Mike Gentry just posted this on his Facebook, attached to his mom's art etchings right now. I'm really enjoying those posts on social media. He asked, you know, some songwriters are like amphibians. They're constantly creating a lot of tadpoles to see one stick, and then other people are like mammals, and you only really birth 1 or 2 a year, and I'm more of a mammal. But I have the instincts of an amphibian, but it only comes in music, and it really is about, I've learned that, like people, another songwriter, I wish I could remember who said it, but you're either a spurt writer, or you're like, you write all the time, or you only write occasionally, and you're always writing because you're always taking it in. I have tend to come in spurts, and then I've also tend to like not write a lot, but it's always life getting in the way. I think that, you know, when we're young, we can write more at night, and then when you're a family member, you got to realign your life. Jill Jack said at Nor'easter Festival when I was doing a songwriting circle, I always remember this. It's rent-free in my brain. She's like, I had to learn how to write when the baby was napping. I was like, oh, shoot. Oh, of course. I shouldn't be like staring at my phone. That's where World That Bigger came from, is because I chose to follow her advice, and I wrote when the baby was napping literally right next to me. It's in the picture. So I'm trying to do that more, but I also believe we I triple time also believe that we only have so much energy and we got to recharge. And a lot of my energy, as you can tell, ends up going into the lesson plan and into the performance of teaching. It is very much a performance, sometimes at a curse and blessing of the students. And I don't have a whole lot to give back until the summer, which is okay. Yeah. But I don't like that. I wish I had another 4 hours of a day. Wish we had 28 hours in a day, so I had more time, because I got to get into the water and I got to swim for a while. A song like "I Just Want to Be Your Last," that isn't just like a writing session. That's a living with that song for like a day and not eating food when in my 20s and playing that riff because I just like to play. And then there's a moment where I know something's going to finish and become a song. And there's sometimes where I get stuck in a loop and I just have a cool little musical piece and it doesn't really go anywhere. I can't explain why I know when it's going to get done. And it's usually the words starting to find. So I'm going to probably have another major writing spurt soon, because my kids are getting older. They like hearing my music at home. They'll give me a little bit of space, and I'm learning how to control my time and not give it up to the cell phone. That's why I disappeared for 2 years.
Well, glad to have you back.
I'm back.
Glad to have you back. May 23rd at the Arc opening for Ari Hest. I'm proudly again wearing one of my 2 Ari Hest shirts. Mm-hmm. You can go back in time into the podcast archives. He was here 52. A couple years ago.
Oh, that was a great experience when he was putting out a song a week.
Yeah. Can you imagine trying to do that yourself?
Tried it, failed every time. But what was cool was trying it. The failure was actually got me more songs than I would have by not doing it as an early. It was a polar vortex. 2013, 14, 15, somewhere in there. Yep. I didn't own a house yet. And we had a lot of songwriters that were participating in the Bob Schneider way. I was inspired by how he had a club, and they would email out a word. Burning Bright comes from that. 2 or 3 songs from the World That's Bigger comes from that. There's one song that ended up on like 10 records. That week's prompt ended up Ghost into Something is on like 10 records out there. A lot of them, indie artists that go to Folk Alliance and things like that. Mm-hmm. Carrie McFerrin is one. Lyle Strickland is one. So yeah, I'd like to do it. I think I have it in me to do a song a week.
Might be after the kids are in full-time school.
You're right.
When you're not so busy.
Yeah, or if the lesson plans aren't happening every night, because I get so many new classes to teach right now as a new teacher in the district.
Steady income, however, is an important part of the equation.
I don't believe in starving artists. I know that Ari Hest does. He believes you got to go for it. I think there's something to that. But if you're stressed, you ain't writing. If you don't have anybody backing you, then you are literally have no capital to work with. I had some limitations that I should have thought through a little bit more in my 20s. And maybe been a little more open-minded to moving to Nashville, New York, LA. I'm glad I didn't. I don't think it would have changed my life as a musician, but it's hard to be I'm not a big fish, but for lack of an analogy, a big fish in a little pond is still a little pond. How many people really break out of our city and have a career?
It's in any profession like this, sports, musicians. Like there's
sports is even worse.
There's going to be cream of the crop, and then there's going to be people trying to be cream of the crop.
And anybody who believes they're going to be a professional sports or athlete and don't have any professional sports athletes in their family, you're done already. You don't have the DNA. That is even, I think it's for music. There's a little bit more of you can work on craft a song. You can find your own voice. I can't break beyond. I can't sing 80s rock at a bar gig, but I can do something. I can change the key and I can do Drift Away by Dobie Gray and get somebody to put $20 in the tip jar and take that money and learn how to play my own song. And there is a physicality that I think we all have that allows us to do our own thing really well musically. I'm a small person, but I can still stretch pretty good. I can do a full octave on the piano. So like my fingers aren't getting in the way,
My limitation of why I don't play guitar, and I've told many people this, is I was born with 6 fingers on this hand.
I understand.
And I can't spread that finger out any farther than that. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I've taught somebody with that kind of challenge. They broke their fingers during baseball. And I think but if you ended up wanting to, you would have to learn in your own way. That wouldn't be, somebody would just have to let you find it, and then you would do something no one else has ever done before.
Or pick up a mandolin, which has a shorter neck, and learn that.
Yes, I'm teaching myself that.
Maybe someday.
What's this instrument? Ukulele. I got it for my kids.
Yeah.
I told my wife, but
it's you. Ukulele. Mike-kalele. All right.
What shall we do next?
We shall either continue the questioning, although we are already past an hour.
Oh, what do you want to do?
I was going to get one more song. We'll ask a couple more questions, things that I was curious about. I know.
Okay if I'm tuning during your...
Sure, you can listen. I know you were hit by a car walking to a gig, which is probably the strangest thing that's happened on the way to a gig, not a good one. What's the strangest thing that happened at a gig, other than meeting your future wife? Because that kind of counts as a pretty good story.
Sometimes questions make immediate answers, and sometimes I got to ponder.
Well,
only because it's like other things are more memorable in my life right now. It's like remembering the novel you just taught versus To Kill a Mockingbird from 2003 lesson plans. What's the weirdest thing that happened to me at a gig?
I mean, getting hit by a car is a strange the way thing.
That is, and that's a really like serendipitous story, because like when I get hit by the car to walk to play at the Arc for the Beatles event, raising money for the peace program. You get hit, you feel a rush of adrenaline, and you're like, I'm gonna go play this gig. That's how stupid I was. And then you take a step, and you're like, oh no, there's some broken bones in my body after that. And the guitar saved my body because it got hit first.
That guitar?
The one I'm holding. And it doesn't look as bad as it should. Mark Weininger got it back in working condition. $100 fee on this. I was much more expensive on Michigan no-fault insurance, but I had it in a gig bag. If I had been crossing Huron Street with the full case, I wonder if I'd be a little more damaged, maybe wheelchair, because that falling on, hitting the gig bag and falling on it prevented me from a concussion. But what's weird is when they put me in the ambulance and then the first officer gets there, he goes, "Hi, Mr. Vial." What? Oh, yeah. I taught him English my first year teaching. And he's the officer on the scene. Oh, wow. I don't believe in I think we find our reason for things happening. I don't believe that everything happens for a reason personally. But it allowed me to reconsider, maybe I should be back in the classroom. I miss the energy of that. And I like it more than teaching guitar lessons, weirdly enough. And so that is the weirdest thing, right? Another weird thing is you play a gig and I don't know. I don't even know. If you play a gig at a pretty cool event, right? Like a festival where Bare Naked Ladies are the headliner. That's the biggest gig I've ever gotten to do on the smaller stage. I don't want to claim I open for them. That's not that type of gig, but I thankfully to Fusion shows, I'm the local act. And I'm playing and I'm opening the festival and people are coming in and I see former students and they're like, "We came to see you. We didn't come to see any of these other bands like Imagine Dragons or whoever else on the bill." And I'm like, "You're serious?" And like, "Oh yeah, Ben Folds is here. And we wanted to hear that song because you played it for us in the classroom. And then we did that poetry assignment. And I always remembered that." And then you're talking to them after your gig and you thought you were coming to be a musician and you realize, oh no, I'm just still Mr. Vial. That's so amazing.
Impact.
Right? I don't even know what to say about that type of thing.
You're going to be remembered for more than your music is what you should say, because that's the fact.
I've had more of the reason I have music listened to is because of the connections to community. That's just what it comes back to. And the minstrels of the past were always that way too. So that's weird, but in a good way.
When you're doing a bar gig or a gig where you're playing in front of a large audience like that, is it hard to concentrate with a lot of conversations and
I'm used
noise?
to it. I think the teacher in me is used to trying to sell something on something people don't want.
Just focus the
not every student's coming in wanting to read Kitchen, the Japanese novel, but I'm going to try and make it the best experience they can. I don't think anybody wants to take a multiple choice test, and there's ways that I have ways of trying to be equitable with it. But before we do, I'm opening up Pokemon cards, and we're going to change the test if we open up this card and then making it fun in a game, and they're all having fun, we're all watching it and making fun of TikTokers who do it online and all that stuff. So like a bar gig for me is really just a paycheck, and it's a different type of gig too, because I like being a part of the bustle. I am there to provide. Some of my songs work, but also I don't mind playing a cover in that environment because I'm part of your memory. As Mike Gentry says, everybody's leaving still liking each other. That was a good gig. Now, a performance on a stage that people have paid tickets for, that's a different experience. That's the one that drives me the most creatively. But both experiences can be equally as rewarding in some way if you come in with a different expectation. However, like playing for 3 or 4 hours in the corner, I'm kind of like over that now. There was a moment where like Keith Urban described was like living in Nashville and playing on the bar scene and playing for 4 hours, sometimes 8 hours a day. I've done that. I don't need to do that anymore because I'm not going to grow from that experience anymore.
You get paid to practice, essentially.
Yeah, but but that's not practice because you're not really practicing. You're just you're existing. I know that the analogy, and it has times the practice was there because I wasn't a great performer, but I'm not benefiting practicing anymore. And if I'm not super invested and my heart's not in it, I shouldn't do it anymore because I'm 42. There's only so many gigs I can do. So I really am moving away. I'd rather play at the Jackson Coffee Company than go to Hazlitt, Michigan and play for the bar. Now, I will still do a few bar gigs. There's 3 things that make us want to do something. If the money's there, okay. If we're having fun, great. And then there's also there's the third one. Is it going to help your career? I don't think about that anymore, really, but you rarely get one that gets all 3. You usually get 2 out of 3, and then it's a yes. If it's 1 out of 3, then that's when you wonder if I'm going to do it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
May 23rd at the Arc. My guest, Mike Vial, will be opening up for Ari Hest, a previous guest, a favorite of both of ours. We probably both own everything he's ever done.
Everything. And the same shirt.
And the same shirt.
Should have worn it today.
You got your Nirvana shirt. You're going 90s on me, which is all right for me. There's a new album coming out sometime this year. May.
The single, we can release it whenever we want. When do you want me to release Free to Dream?
Before the show.
Let's do it.
Well, I mean, you should do this soon.
Let's do it. So when does this podcast post? I'll talk to my label.
As soon as I can.
Okay, well, that's great. I'll
you
release
put
it.
that single out before the concert show, not my show.
No, you can. We'll do it at the same time.
Well,
I can do whatever I want. There's no rules.
It's you.
You know what the cover is going to be is my kid's artwork. Like that, I'm living. My kid won his contest with his artwork at Thurston. So.
Also your kid's artwork?
No, I hired an artist for that one.
That's pretty cool.
Verona's was though the single.
Nice.
I got to really, and we tape it up in my classroom's office, so all my kids' artwork's in there. Like he's Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. It's pretty fun.
What is this final song we're doing today?
Burning Bright. Let's make it Burning Bright. This is for David Puecki, who you can read the story online, but our youngest state senator, my family member, who made a great impact of our family and community through his Pay It Forward moment. And I wrote the song for him. It's called Burning Bright. It's part of that 52 song I tried to do, like Ari Hest has achieved. A life strange, how time promises tomorrow. Yet we're a thread of gold cut without sorrow. If there's only one song I sing a closing hymn under candlelight, I'll think of you, burning bright. At the edge of the church, stained glass story in the distance. Shared some words of my search, the pain of your absence. If there's only one see up in the sky on a closing night. I think of you burning bright, burning bright, burning bright. I think of you burning bright. I carried you like you carried me times before. Measure of your days like a maze, my feet walking through the door. If there's only one myth I read, an epic line, Phoenix flight, I'll think of you, I'll think of you, I think of you, burning bright. Life's strange, how time promises tomorrow. My wife told me I could do this whole thing with one guitar. I didn't believe her.
She's right.
She was right.
Burning Bright is available on this album. I'm holding it up to one of the cameras.
It's the best of the collection, so for far. Sure.
I agree. World That's Bigger, excellent release. I'm looking forward to the next one for sure, based on the track you played a little while ago. I can't imagine that there are songs. You said there's 3 more that are in that vein, and like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they hit.
Wish we could have heard those today.
Well, there'll be a time.
Maybe May 23rd.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a show at the Arc, thearc.org. Thank you so much to...
John, thank you for having me on.
To Grove Studios as well for letting us do this here.
Thank you, Grove.
If you didn't notice, there was no ads during this podcast. There's no, other than a mention of my home and the people that allow me to do this, Grove Studios. The reason I can do it is I have a few people on Patreon following me. Not a ton. If you would like to join them, go to johnbomarito.com, look for Acoustic Alternatives tab, and then go to the bottom where the Patreon support is. Yeah. If you know somebody who wants to be a sponsor of the podcast, I'm not going to say no to that. It's just not the way I've managed to do things. I'd like to comment on a missed opportunity before we go.
Sure.
You toured with Mike Gentry. It should have been 2 mics and 2 mics.
We should have done it.
Yes. Mics, M-I-Cs, of course. That would have been a great name for the tour.
It'd been like, what's that song Simon and Garfunkel used to do? A poet and a one-man band, but it would have been 2 mics and Well, we could do it again.
You can.
We'll take you on the road with us. We'll be your patrons, though. We'll make sure that you get paid. We won't make anything, but we'll get you paid. Yeah, I love the Patreon idea. I'm really glad you're doing it. It's so hard to put ourselves out there, but people, we are the patrons of the arts. So I just want to push that too, because I'll be, sharing this on my streams, and I really hope people are going to keep supporting yours and our local work, because it keeps it going.
A mere $16 on Bandcamp will get you these digitally, and the rest of the entire catalog. $16 is not a lot of money to support great Michigan-made music.
It goes into a lot of coffee and books for the classroom.
That's right. Thank you for being here. I look forward to May 23rd, and there are more podcasts coming. I've got 2 more booked after this, so awesome. Keep an eye on it. Thanks for being here.